a country that is considered today as the most powerful nation in the world. But did you know that it started from extremely weak, unorganized and uncertain conditions? Some presidents built it, some presidents saved it, and some presidents transformed it completely. Today we begin with the first president of the United States, and we will see how a small new nation rose to become a global superpower. George Washington was the first president of the United States and is considered the father of the nation. He led the American Revolutionary War against the British Empire and later became the first leader of the newly formed country. When the United States became independent, it was weak, unorganized and financially unstable. No one knew how to properly run a new government. Washington decided to strengthen the system without political parties to avoid division in the country. He created the cabinet system, where different departments were formed to run the government efficiently. The most important thing he did was that after completing 2 terms, he voluntarily left power, which became a historic example of democracy in the world. John Adams was the second president of the United States, and his era was mostly filled with political struggle and international pressure. At that time, America was still not fully strong, and European powers, especially France and Britain, were trying to influence it. During his presidency, tensions with France led to an undeclared naval conflict known as the Quasi-War. Although it was not a full war, it played an important role in strengthening the American Navy. John Adams tried to maintain the structure of the government despite difficult conditions, but due to internal political disagreements, he was not re-elected. Thomas Jefferson was one of the key authors of the Declaration of Independence and a president who changed the map of America forever. The biggest event of his era was the Louisiana Purchase, in which the United States bought a huge territory from France. This decision almost doubled the size of the country and opened the path for westward expansion. Jefferson believed that America should be a free and agricultural nation with limited government power. He also promoted education and science and guided the country with a new vision. James Madison, also known as the father of the Constitution, played an important role in creating the American Constitution. During his presidency, the United States faced a major challenge in the form of the War of 1812 against Britain. The war put the country under severe pressure. The British Army even attacked Washington, D.C., and the White House was burned down. This was a major shock for the United States. However, after the war, national unity became stronger, and the country began to see itself as an independent and powerful nation. James Monroe's era was a period of peace and stability. During his presidency, a very important foreign policy called the Monroe Doctrine was announced. The main principle of this policy was that European powers would no longer interfere in the affairs of the Americas, and the United States would also stay out of European affairs. This declaration later became the foundation of American foreign policy and established the United States as a separate global power. Andrew Jackson was one of the most controversial yet powerful presidents in American history. He came from a common background and became popular because of his strong and decisive personality. During his presidency, the idea of common man politics began, meaning that government was no longer limited to the elite class. However, his policies also had a dark side, especially in dealing with Native Americans. During this time, events like the Trail of Tears took place, where thousands of Native Americans were forcibly removed from their lands. This is considered one of the most painful chapters in American history. Martin Van Buren's presidency began with a major economic crisis known as the Panic of 1837. During this period, the banking system weakened, businesses collapsed, and unemployment increased. Public trust in the government started to decline. Van Buren tried to stabilize the economy, but the situation did not fully improve, which led to his failure to win a second term. William Henry Harrison had the shortest presidency in American history. He served for only about 1 month. He delivered a long speech during his inauguration in cold weather, which caused him to become ill, and he died shortly after. His death created a political uncertainty, as it was the first time a president died so early in office. John Tyler became president after Harrison's death. At that time, it was not clear whether the vice president would become a full president or just act temporarily. Tyler established an important precedent by taking full presidential authority. During his presidency, the annexation of Texas took place, which later became a major cause of conflict. James K. Polk's presidency is known as the era of expansion. During his time, the United States rapidly increased its territory. After the war with Mexico, the United States gained California and many western regions. This period played a key role in expanding the country from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Zachary Taylor was a military general and a war hero. However, he did not serve long as president and died unexpectedly. During his presidency, tensions over slavery began to rise, which later became one of the main causes of the Civil War. Millard Fillmore supported the Compromise of 1850 to temporarily settle the issue of slavery. This agreement helped reduce tensions between the northern and southern states for a short time, but it did not solve the problem completely. During Franklin Pierce's presidency, the issue of slavery became even more intense, especially after the Kansas-Nebraska Act. This law allowed people to decide whether they wanted slavery or not, which led to violence and division across the country. James Buchanan's presidency came at a time when the United States was on the edge of collapse. Southern states began separating from the Union due to the slavery issue, and Buchanan failed to control the crisis. By the end of his presidency, the country was standing at the brink of civil war. Abraham Lincoln was one of the most important presidents in American history. During his presidency, the country became deeply divided, and the Civil War began. The war was fought between the northern states, known as the Union, and the southern states, known as the Confederacy. The main issue behind this conflict was slavery. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which laid the foundation for ending slavery in the United States. This decision changed the course of American history. Near the end of the war, Lincoln was assassinated, which shocked the entire nation. Andrew Johnson became president after Lincoln's death. His presidency focused on rebuilding the country after the Civil War, a period known as Reconstruction. Reintegrating the southern states into the Union and dealing with the aftermath of slavery were major challenges. Johnson faced strong opposition from Congress, and there was even an attempt to remove him from office through impeachment, but he remained in power. Ulysses S. Grant was a Civil War hero who became president. During his presidency, efforts were made to strengthen the country and protect the rights of newly freed African Americans. However, his administration was also affected by multiple corruption scandals, which damaged the government's reputation. Rutherford Hayes' presidency marked the end of the Reconstruction era. Federal troops were withdrawn from the southern states, which allowed those regions to regain more control. After this, racial segregation laws gradually became stronger in the South. James Garfield had a very short presidency. He was shot just a few months after taking office and later died from his injuries. His death exposed weaknesses in the government system and highlighted the need for civil service reforms. Chester Arthur, who was initially part of the political system, surprised many by supporting reforms after becoming president. He backed civil service reforms that reduced political influence in government jobs and made the system more fair and transparent. Grover Cleveland was known for taking a strong stance against corruption. During his presidency, economic issues and labor movements began to grow due to rapid industrialization. Benjamin Harrison's presidency saw rapid industrial growth in the United States. Cities expanded, railroads increased, and the economy became stronger. During this time, the United States began moving toward becoming a global power. William McKinley's presidency marked the beginning of modern America. During his time, the United States fought the Spanish-American War and emerged victorious. As a result, the United States gained influence over territories like the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico, becoming a global power. However, McKinley was later assassinated, bringing a sudden end to his presidency. Theodore Roosevelt is considered one of the presidents who helped shape modern America. He was a strong and action-oriented leader. During his presidency, the government increased control over large corporations, and the Progressive Era began. He also played an important role in the construction of the Panama Canal, which changed global trade. William Howard Taft became president after Roosevelt, but his approach was more cautious. During his time, Actions against large corporations continued, but political support weakened, and divisions started to appear within his party. Woodrow Wilson's presidency took place during one of the most important periods in world history. World War I broke out during his time. At first, the United States remained neutral, but later it joined the war. Under his leadership, America emerged as a major global power. He also introduced the idea of the League of Nations, although the United States itself did not join it. During Warren Harding's presidency, the United States experienced relative prosperity after the war. However, his administration was involved in major corruption scandals, which damaged his reputation. He did not complete his term. Calvin Coolidge's era was a time of economic growth and industrial expansion. Businesses grew rapidly, the stock market expanded, and the country entered the period known as the Roaring Twenties. Herbert Hoover's presidency faced one of the worst economic disasters in history, the Great Depression. Unemployment, poverty, and banking failures affected the entire country. His administration was unable to fully control the crisis. Franklin D. Roosevelt was one of the most important presidents in American history. He introduced the New Deal to support the economy and provide relief to the people during the Great Depression. During his presidency, World War II began, and later the United States joined the war and emerged as a global superpower. His leadership transformed the United States during one of its most difficult periods. Harry S. Truman became president after Franklin Roosevelt at a time when World War II was in its final stage. During his presidency, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Japan, which led to the end of the war, but also changed world history. This was also the beginning of the Cold War, as tensions started to rise between the United States and the Soviet Union. Dwight D. Eisenhower was a former military general. During his presidency, the United States experienced economic growth and major infrastructure development. He introduced the interstate highway system, which transformed transportation across the country. During the Cold War, he maintained a strong defense policy against the Soviet Union. John F. Kennedy was a young and popular president. During his presidency, the Cuban Missile Crisis brought the world close to nuclear war. He also pushed forward the space race, aiming to land a man on the moon. In 1963, he was assassinated, which shocked the entire nation. Lyndon B. Johnson passed the Civil Rights Act, which helped reduce racial discrimination in the United States. However, during his presidency, the Vietnam War escalated and became a major conflict. Richard Nixon improved relations with China and made important diplomatic moves during the Cold War. However, the Watergate scandal forced him to resign, making him the only US president to step down from office. Gerald Ford became president after Nixon's resignation. His main challenge was to restore public trust in the government after the Watergate scandal. Jimmy Carter's presidency faced economic problems and an energy crisis. During his time, the Iran hostage crisis damaged the image of the United States on the global stage. Ronald Reagan led the United States through a period of economic recovery. He took a strong stance against the Soviet Union, which played a role in the eventual end of the Cold War. George H.W. Bush's presidency saw the end of the Cold War and the collapse of the Soviet Union. The United States emerged as the world's only superpower. During his time, the Gulf War also took place. Bill Clinton's presidency was marked by economic growth and the rise of technology, especially the expansion of the internet. However, his presidency also included political scandals and an impeachment process. George W. Bush became president at a time that would soon change American history. During his presidency, the attacks of September 11, 2001 took place, which deeply affected the United States and the world. After these attacks, the United States launched the War on Terror, leading to military operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. These wars had long-term effects on global politics and the Middle East. Barack Obama became the first African-American president of the United States. He took office during a major financial crisis and focused on stabilizing the economy. He introduced the Affordable Care Act to reform the healthcare system. During his presidency, a major operation led to the death of Osama bin Laden. Donald Trump came from a business background and was considered a non-traditional political leader. During his presidency, immigration policies became stricter and several international agreements were reconsidered. The economy showed growth in the beginning, But later the COVID-19 pandemic affected the entire world. His presidency remained politically divided. Joe Biden took office during a challenging time after the COVID-19 pandemic. His administration focused on economic recovery and stability. During his presidency, global challenges such as inflation, supply chain issues, and the Russia-Ukraine conflict had a major impact. Donald Trump returned to office as President of the United States in 2025, marking a rare political comeback in American history. His presidency continues to focus on strong economic policies, strict immigration control, and redefining America's role on the global stage. During this period, the United States is dealing with major global challenges, including rising geopolitical tensions, technological competition, and economic shifts. Before we end this journey, I want to ask you something. Which president was in power during your time? And which US president do you think was the best? And why? Share your thoughts in the comments below.